This video is about how to grow food for health. To the great horror of all those dedicated nutrition scientists, let me give you a simplified version of how food works. There are just three types of food. Energy food is just a fuel: sugar, fats and carbs. The science is very simple. We just burn carbon and hydrogen to release energy. It does not matter what the source of the energy is, we just burn it off. What we don't burn off either goes to make us fat, but with a healthy body we'll just poop out what we don't need. Then there is the food that goes into replacing all our body parts as they wear or age, and provides all the complex chemicals we need. The science here is pretty complicated. It is not good enough to say we need iron or whatever. It has to be exactly the right type of iron which our body can use. Fortunately, biochemistry is a mature and highly sophisticated technology, so we have it pretty much under control. Then there is food to feed our brains. We have two brains, one in our head and one in our gut. They talk to each other, so we can almost think of them as one system. They do the most important job in our body. They are the control system, sending out instructions to every bit of our body so we work as a unified system and not some glorified jellyfish. Our brains are made up of trillions of cells which communicate with each other to take decisions, just like a supercomputer, but this time they have real intelligence rather than the pathetic system we call artificial intelligence. The science here presents a bit of a problem. We have an idea how the biology works, but we really only have a vague idea how the code works, which is far more sophisticated than any man-made coding. But if we study ecology and how our bodies have evolved and worked over time, at least we have some idea of how it works as a system, rather like a 4-year-old kid who can work a smartphone but has no idea how it works. Energy food is not a problem. We love it. We have evolved to crave energy food, and the food industry has responded by producing vast quantities of energy food at low cost. Replacement food is not a serious issue. It is true the nutritional value of food, with all those trace minerals we need, has declined over the years with our automated industrial chemical farming. But if you have enough money, you can still buy it. But brain food is a real crisis. We evolved being surrounded by brain food, so we've not evolved cravings for brain food. We are in the midst of an epidemic of chronic diseases, which is far more serious than COVID. But we don't get fat and sick simply because we eat too much of the wrong sort of food. We get fat and sick because our control system is not working in the way it evolved to work, so end up by eating too much of the wrong sort of food and then get fat and sick. This video aims to explain what we can do about it, and unfortunately it is more complicated than taking some magic pills which is promoted to resolve all problems but doesn't. My name is Colin Austin. I'm a technical innovator, and I ask myself, what are the most important issues facing humanity? My answer is creating a stable ecosystem where my grandkids and their grandkids can enjoy a happy and sustainable life. As I hone down to what this really means, it boils down to how to grow food sustainably. That will make us healthy. And as I hone down a bit more, this boils down to soil and water. That is what this video is all about. How to grow food in a sustainable way that will make us healthy. But let me start with a bit of background. I was a pioneer in computer-aided engineering. I founded a company which simply grew and grew and became the leading exporter of technical software from Australia and dominated its area of technology worldwide. I received many awards. In particular, I was selected as among Australia's top 100 innovators by the Institute of Engineers for my pioneering work on computer-aided engineering. I'm ashamed to say I wrote a book, Faster, Better, Cheaper, about how we could use computers to make, you guessed it, products faster, better and cheaper using computer simulation. This brought on one of those moments when I faced reality and asked myself, is this what life is all about? Making things faster, better and cheaper? The answer was clearly no. So I sold the company and started to work in the area of soil, water and how to grow healthy food sustainably. The company I formed continued to grow and was eventually sold for $500 million. Well, I spent my time thinking and experimenting with soil and water. Some 25 years ago, I started to experiment and promote wicking beds so people could have access to fresh, healthy food. That has been part success and part failure. The success is that there are now thousands of people across the globe who are using wicking beds. But there are billions of people who need affordable access to fresh, healthy food. The failure is we are just not helping the people who really need fresh, healthy food the most, and we are certainly not moving the world to a more sustainable food production system. But now I study ecology, and there's one very important lesson I've learnt about human nature. A few 100,000 years ago, our ancestors, then pre-human, spent their lives happily swinging in the branches of trees, safe from marauding, ferocious animals below. Then the climate change, this time from natural causes, and the trees disappeared, and we had to learn to live on the plains below. We learnt that if a single pre-human came face to face with a saber-toothed tiger, it would simply eat us. It was simply far stronger, faster, and had bigger and better teeth than us. But then we developed our first technology. We found that if we got together and just threw stones at this marauding tiger, we could inflict serious pain from a distance, and it would simply nick off. We can learn that we have survived for two reasons. We are naturally an innovative creature and can develop technology that leads to our survival, and that we are naturally cooperative creatures, capacity to work together for the common good. Today, we may feel that the future looks a bit bleak with all the problems that face us, but I'm sure if we remember these two basic lessons, our grandkids and their grandkids will have a happy life. We will not be saved by either big business or government. We will be saved by developing technology that works for the common good and ordinary people cooperating together. I've been working on the technology of growing healthy food sustainably now for many years. Technology is the easy bit, but you now have to get ordinary people to cooperate together to make use of this technology. People may tell you that if we stop up this Earth, we can all move to Mars or somewhere into outer space. Let me tell you, this is rubbish. If we are stupid enough to stuff up this Earth, which is well suited to human existence, there is no way we have the intelligence to survive in the harsh conditions of outer space. Other people may tell you we can produce our food synthetically from chemicals and we don't need soil. This is even more dangerous rubbish. We may be able to produce some energy food synthetically, but we really need soil full of beneficial biology and minerals to survive. In this video, I want to show how to increase gut health by growing plants in real soil full of beneficial biology and minerals so they act as pre- and probiotics. Our gut is made from trillions of cells of thousands of species which communicate with each other to form a supercomputer which controls many of the automatic operations of our bodies. It controls our appetite, deciding what and how much we should eat. It sends out instructions to make a whole range of complex chemicals to replace our body parts as they age or wear, and it works with our immune system to protect us from disease. Our gut brain is a critical part of our body, and we need to feed it gut food. Gut food starts in the soil and the creatures that live in the soil. These enter the roots of plants which we eat. Our ancestors and pre-humans before them have been eating wild plants for hundreds of thousands of years, and it worked fine. Even today, we can study hunter-gatherer societies, remote communities, and the blue zones eating natural and wild foods, and they all have a far healthier gut biology than modern man eating industrial chemical farmed foods. We can't go back to eating wild foods. We have chopped down too many of the wild forests, so we need an alternative way of growing gut food that works in our modern society. We need a new system of growing gut food in modern conditions, which are very different from when we were swinging around the trees surrounded by gut food. We already have the technology. Many growers have been using this for years, but it does require land, time and skills. The Biota box systems breaks this into two. Experienced growers, either home gardeners or commercial growers, can set up mother beds to grow soil by breeding the beneficial biology in organic waste. This is loaded into Biota boxes and typically planted, or just supplying the bio boxes loaded with soil ready for planting is an option. These bio boxes can be delivered to people without land, time or growing experience to have fresh fruit growing near a window or a balcony or patio. They need to periodically water the boxes and harvest the plants. The preferred option is to grow baby greens using the tipping system. Baby greens are more nutritious, taste better and can be grown without toxic chemicals. Let's get started. The purpose of the Biota technology is to ensure that everyone, whether they have a garden or not, are able to eat food that will feed their gut brain. We aim to do this in a fully sustainable way by recycling waste organics and regenerating the soil so our grandkids and their grandkids have a viable future. This is a two-stage process. The first stage is to turn dirt into living soil. That is, from inert dirt into soil full of beneficial biology and minerals. The second stage is to grow plants in this soil in boxes so they can be tipped and eaten while they are still fresh and before the biology dies. The first part is to turn dirt into soil. This is soil full of beneficial biology and nutrients. We do this in Biota mother beds, using as a base dirt, preferably with clay, waste food, organic materials, minerals, inoculants and plants. The soil is then put into bio boxes and planted to deliver to the final consumer. This is a process best undertaken by specialist growers. Bio boxes are small enough to be used on patios, balconies or on a window ledge. The boxes are delivered when the plants are just ready to be consumed. They just need tipping and the box is watered using a simple flood and drain process. Tipping is simply cutting off the tip of a baby green and eating and letting the tip regrow. Many baby greens can be tipped many times, providing a continuous supply of gut food. This is a straightforward technology with immediate and obvious benefits. The real challenge is how best to apply the technology so it works for the benefit of the community and not just for profit. The aim is to set up local food movements across the globe. Each local group is independent and basically is organised in a way that suits that particular locality. There is no mega corporation which owns and controls things. But there is a central hub which runs the Biota websites and acts as a centre for information exchange. www.gbiota.com is the source of technical information. Mostly this is free access, but the section on growing is a subscription area to cover the costs of technical development and to provide umbrella marketing. Local groups can use the Biota trademark's name, but are expected to follow the growing guidelines. www.gbiota.club is a social media site where people can chat and exchange experiences. Each local movement decides the organisational style which suits them best. They may appoint a coordinator and operate as a local club with a formal structure, or totally informally with just a wave to the neighbour. If you are interested in being part of a local food movement, just email me here, colin@gbiota.com, or better still register at www.gbiota.com, either as a grower or consumer, and we'll try and link you into the local Biota food community. Let us just recap. Whether we like it or not, we are an animal that needs to eat food for energy. This energy food is widely available, but we also need to eat food to feed our gut, which forms part of our control system. Our gut is full of biology, which is foreign to our body and comes initially from the soil and creatures in the soil. I've shown how we have the technology of growing soil, converting dirt to living soil with all the biology we need. Thousands of enthusiastic gardeners are using this technology in one form or another, but there are billions of people who are suffering from non-infectious diseases because they are not eating gut food, so their control system is not working as it should. Our food industry is dominated by mega corporations who are focused on profits and resort to establishing neo-monopolies with little regard to the well-being of the community and the sustainability of the planet. We need a technology which will enable all people to access gut food at a reasonable price, and we need a food system which puts the benefit of the community and the sustainability of our planet ahead of short-term profits. This is the aim of the Biota Biobox project. Local growers, either amateur gardeners or local commercial growers, will grow soil, which they will load into boxes, typically already seeded, so local people can have access to generally fresh plants that provide gut food. They first have to make the boxes, which is very simple and economic. Just a regular storage box, about 40 litres is a good size, big enough to produce a useful amount of food, but light enough to carry. A hole is made for a regular irrigation fitting, a swivel connection fitted on the outside, and a length of regular ag pipe runs on the base from the fitting and up to the top at the other end. A layer of hard organic material is laid in the base. This is porous to allow water flow and will slowly decompose, providing some food for the microbiology. This is different to many so-called wicking beds, which use an inert material in the base. This does not support the essential biology and is just a self-watering box, very different from a Biota Biobox. Manure, dolomite and biomin to provide essential minerals are then spread over this layer, and the box is then filled with biologically active nutrient-rich soil from the mother bed. A layer of fine soil, either sifted from the mother bed or a regular seeding mix, is spread on the surface, ready for seeding. Well, I've talked a lot about the theory. It is now time to go outside and see how this all works in practice. This is not a manual, just a tour of my test block, which I will set up to grow soil and produce bioboxes. Now, every site is different, with different soil, climate and bug and disease problems, so there's no one set of rules, more a set of guidelines which have to be applied to suit the local site. So a bit about my site. I live in Bundaberg, latitude about 25 degrees, which is the same as the great deserts around the world. So it is dry. We are too far north to get the regular winter rainfalls, and too far south to get the summer rains. I live about 100 metres from Baldwin's Swamp Environmental Park, which is very interesting because it is a natural wicking bed. I never claim to have invented wicking beds, but I did spot how they worked. A basin of heavy clay which gets filled with silt and debris. The top layer of my soil is a silty clay, but dig down and there is a layer of heavy clay. It is very nice being so close to the park. I go for a walk there most mornings. It is full of wildlife, including many pesky things which invade my block for a quick takeaway dinner, which makes a special problem for me as I don't want to use any toxic chemicals. I used to live on a nearby eco-village with acreage and built shade houses, which gets most of them out, but in this regular home block I don't have the room. So let's take a tour of my block by following the water. Before COVID, I used to travel a lot, so I wanted a system I could leave for weeks without major problems. So I did not want to connect directly to the mains pressure. So I installed a timer that just runs for some 20 minutes each day and fills my rainwater tank. We don't get much rain, but I do want to make use of any rain that falls, so I fitted a float valve. So if we do get rain, I don't use any mains water. And if, as usual, there is no rain, the tank is automatically filled. The tank is connected to the sump, which houses several pumps irrigating different areas of my blocks. They all work on the partial flood and drain system as shown. There are many such systems in use around the world, run by enthusiasts. An ag pipe runs the length of each bed and is level, except at the end where there is a pipe raised by the soil dam. Water fills the pipe and flows out to the surrounding soil, but will only rise to the level of the soil dam, where it will overflow back into the sump. When the pump is turned off, the water will slowly drain out through the leaky soil dam. Previously, I would let the water flow through a compost pipe, but for this exercise, I want to grow soil, so I fill the entire length of the pipe with food waste. I only get food waste in drips and drabs, so I just do a section at a time. Normally I use pumps on a timer to give a water pulse, but on some of my beds I use a solar powered pump. But here, for demonstration, I'm using a hose manually. When I have filled my section of the trench with the food waste, I add the inoculant. I prefer to add fresh manure, but I don't have any right now, so I'm just using processed manure. This is often acidic, so I add some dolomite lime and then some biomin to provide the essential minerals. I then cover with local soil. You can't make soil without plants. For several billion years, the earth was just rock with a bit of microbiology. Slowly, the microbiology broke down some of the rocks to make soil. This was very slow, as there was no energy source. As soon as there was some soil, plants started to grow and captured energy, and life on earth exploded. Making soil was still a very slow process, taking centuries to produce soil. But with the energy of the sun and the right ingredients, we can do it within months. I use a green manure crop like buckwheat, but I already have plants growing which will rapidly take over the area I have just dug. This obviously depends on the region, but I find plants like kangkong, purple amaranth and spinach just grow like weeds. The box is now ready for seeding. This can be done by the grower, who will care for the plants until they are ready to start harvesting, when they can be delivered to the final consumer, who just has to water and harvest. This means that the box is immediately productive after delivery. Many people would just find it impractical to go through all the process of growing the soil in mother beds, but would welcome having fresh gut food growing in their home ready for harvesting. There are major benefits in having gut food growing in your own home. Biology has a short life, and the minute a plant is harvested, the beneficial biology starts to die off, so harvesting and eating straight away is beneficial for health. Food is often promoted as fresh, but what they really mean is not yet started to decompose. This is very different from a plant which is harvested and eaten straight away. At a more mundane level, plants that are eaten straight away simply taste better. Having food growing in your own home also helps avoid any crisis coming from the food delivery system. At a more mundane but practical level, it is simply a cheaper way of buying food, as much of the cost in the conventional food system is in the transport, storage and selling of food after it has left the farm. The local food movement provides food to feed our guts at a lower price. It just requires growers and consumers to get together as part of a local food movement. While most customers will be happy to receive the plants already growing, ready for harvesting, there are many who will be happy to undertake the work of seeding themselves, just receiving boxes filled with the biologically active mineral-rich soil. There's no great magic in seeding, as my granddaughter Nana will show. Homo sapiens, the wise ape, has become the dominant creature on Earth for two simple reasons. We are innovative and develop technology, and we are naturally cooperative. The modern economic wisdom is that technology is there to exploit and make a few people and mega corporations rich and powerful. This greed and pursuit of money and power is slowly destroying the capacity of the Earth to support us. Global warming, toxic pollution, and the destruction of our soils are just some of the ways we are destroying our ability to survive. The Earth will be spinning around the Sun for a few more billion years. The question is, will people be able to live on that Earth? I have spent my life in technology and innovation. It is the key to our success, but we need to change our economic model so technology works for the long-term benefit of the community and not the short-term profits of a few. Food is the most critical factor, and food to feed our gut brain is the most important food. We can start creating a new economic model by just a few people setting up mother beds and supporting their local community with bioboxes, full of biology, active nutrients, rich soils, so they can have fresh food going in their home. Once this starts, the movement will spread across the globe as people realise that this is the way our grandkids and their grandkids will have a happy and sustainable life.